Hello, my name is Alex Strelichman. I'm VP of Sales at Telrad. Been with the company for almost 6 years, and Telrad has been in business since for almost 70 some years, since 1951, specializing in telecom. So in past few years, we have been emphasizing OnGo CBRS relationship, the technology that and successes that and benefits that it brings to our customers. And today we have quite a few successes. We have 200 LTE networks in the United States, CBRS-enabled LTE networks. So anything from smaller service providers with one sector in the middle of nowhere, covering non-line of sight, more challenging customers, to very large-scale rural networks or metropolitan dense networks. We have customers in education. We have customers in private public enterprises. Rather, our equipment is deployed for public-private enterprises. We have networks deployed for tribal communities, like I mentioned, municipal networks a little bit earlier. So today I would like to talk about a couple interesting use cases that are the most popular ones. In US, obviously the 100 by 20 is a big point of interest. Right? We have education is another one, an important application that's becoming very predominant. Moreover, since the CBRS began closing schools and kids were forced to study remotely. Telehealth, as well as smart agriculture. Smart ag is a whole new animal for us. We really haven't had any presence in that, but as agriculture becomes more intelligent, more sensors, obviously telecom has to connect all that to make the smart ag smarter. So on that note, let's switch to the next slide. I would like to mention about objectives. What is the actual objectives of our CBRS vision, of how we see CBRS, purpose of Telrad, purpose of domain proxy, why we chose that technology? It really boils down to logic and automation. We need something to run CBRS network, something that's going to have enough intelligence. We see some of the great ideas, but implementation also has to be done correctly. You have multiple service providers that offer SaaS service, SaaS administrators, but what we want is to provide our customers a very common platform that is SaaS independent to be able to support large-scale network. It's one thing to build one NLB with few CPs. Another thing is building a network that is scaled to hundreds of NLBs and thousands of CPs, and it requires different approach. So the part one is obviously logic and automation. Network management. You have to run the network efficiently. You want to make sure that you identify issues early. That's normal. One of the important bullet points is service continuity. So what we found with CBRS is that periodically you have a situation where grant may get suspended for some reasons. It may be a DPA activity, it may be CPAS that's doing some other calculations, and it may have cut the power to the CBSD because of the densification. And we want to make sure that each device is served and connected. So, because at the end of the day, that's how service provider is being measured, by quality and consistency of the bandwidth that they deliver to their customers. And the last piece, obviously, the flexible spectrum use. Our domain proxy provides tools that can effectively and efficiently let customers pick and choose which spectrum they want, which channels they want to operate. Is it if it's a mixed PAL GAA environment, and maximize, go for the biggest possible channel if they want, without hoarding the spectrum. So since you can go for standby grants all day long, the problem is that SAS administrator has to take it into account, even though the device is running on using only 10 or 20 megahertz. If you have 50, 60, 70 megahertz in standby, it has to go back in the interference calculation. So we are approaching it from very efficient, intelligent manner, and while still providing that flexibility to customers to quickly move, and not just move to the next channel, bring the whole group to a different frequency, to a different channel. And it's a big deal. When outage can be brought down to a matter of minutes versus hours, it plays a big role with overall user experience. Let's go to the next slide. So one of our good successes is with one of our customers, NIPCO. In the continent of the U.S., they're in Dakotas, they're in Minnesota. Large-scale network. It's a cable operator. They have a strategy called edge out, so where you do have your footprint with DOCSIS and fiber facilities, and you need to edge outside that to capture additional customers or to provide additional services on top of the DOCSIS system. One of the flexibilities that Telrad was able to deliver to them is 100 by 20 service with exactly the same equipment that was carried through, that already was on their network before. With as long as Unit B has access to 40 megahertz of spectrum, doesn't matter how it's diced and sliced between PAL GAA. We are able to provide consistent and quality 100 by 20. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, they also have PALs and ability to have flexible access, to use PAL GAA and mix them up where needed, as needed, and it becomes a big deal. Now, one of the major problems that people begin encountering, our customers begin encountering is coexistence. Today, private LTE networks blend that label private standalone. It becomes this blended hybrid network that with way more advanced capabilities than just standalone LTE. Now you can interact with other carriers. You can do a lot more things, which means you coexist with other LTE or starting to coexist with 5G and NAR systems. And LTE is a big deal. That's why WinForum provided coexistence spec. So on physical layer, make sure the timing matches, and that's already kind of strategically they went with the right technology to ensure friendly coexistence between themselves and others. And obviously, the problem with the contiguous spectrum, this is the key. We offer 40 megahertz, great. But what if that 40 megahertz is split across multiple channels through the CBRS space, through the CBRS slice? And 20 maybe here, 20 maybe there. What if each 20 is mixed between PAL and GAA? So to ensure that you are going for biggest possible channel, regardless how it's allocated, that's the advantage that NIPCO can take with our equipment, and that all results in scalability. They can scale. They can scale big, and the network right now is quite significant in size. So on the next slide, similar story with another good customer of ours in Ohio and Maryland. These guys were able to deliver 100 meg service. And Telrad, again, not the only technology. They do have multiple vendors there, but the CBRS portion is ran off Telrad, and the marketing is unified, 100 meg. It's exactly the same objective. Can you get biggest possible slice of spectrum, regardless how it's allocated to you? So, So Metalinks kind of their overall strategy is different. It's not edge out. They're building. They have multiple venues. They do have fiber customers, they have DSL customers, and so on. And they do have they have a telephone sister company and telco sister company. And on the wireless side, they want to make sure that it's single, unified messaging without caveats. So can you deliver 100 million? Going to the next slide. We had really good successes through partnerships. Cable AML is one of our good technology partners, validated resellers who have been bringing themselves into very cool projects that don't fit the standard mold, right? And one of the big applications has been becoming very popular in past year is education. For me, I'm very passionate as it is about education, and that's what I'm bringing. That's the message and effort and energy that I'm bringing to the U.S. market to make sure that there are no underserved kids. If there is a way for us to deliver connectivity, we are doing everything possible, thinking outside the box. That's why we're bringing this guys like Cable ML that have very creative way of building networks. So this particular network is in Virginia with Fredericksburg Public School District. It's an on-campus, off-campus connectivity with blend of indoor and outdoor custom premise equipment, CPEs, and that creates their own set of challenges because now indoor CPEs don't have the distance, don't have the penetration, but again with ability to enable the 4x4 mode with our base stations and go to and go through extra wall. Concrete wall. The fact that these guys are located in Virginia, they're within the DPA market. So now you have a situation where if you're operating within the GAA space or PEL, doesn't matter, but you have a potential for channel being suspended due to Navy activity. So you want to build mechanisms in place to ensure the continuity of service. And that's important. And that's some of those features and logic that I mentioned, as well as automation that I mentioned a little bit earlier, that our domain proxy brings to the market. And on the last slide, I would like to mention a little bit about the Smart App. That's we've been working closely with Purdue University, we've been working closely with North Carolina University, NC University, specifically regarding the Smart Act applications. And we have few interesting projects with few partners such as Managora, Harvest Beam, unrelated, but all within the Smart Act space, where you're talking about enabling robotics. You're looking into applications such as private LTE as a service. Obviously, as you can imagine, when we're talking about California, most of the cost is within the DPA, most of the state within the DPA geography. So you have to take that into account and make sure that you still provide continuity to these devices. It may be a sensor, or maybe a robotic, or maybe a vehicle, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You have to have the connectivity. One of the interesting parts where Telrad starts differentiating from others is, I mentioned earlier, is consistent bandwidth consistency. But with the Smart Act, what we see is not just downlink bandwidth, it's also the uplink. With Telrad, people can actually, our customers are able to obtain consistent 10 meg, 15 meg uplinks. And in some robotics require that due to the video streaming or whatever the application may be. We're just coming in as a transparent mechanism that works well through near non-line of sight, near non-line of sight, and able to deliver the quality and consistent and adequate. Yep. On that note, that's really some of those success stories. We obviously have 200 of them in the US. So we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. We can work on demos if there is the right application, and our team is ready and standing by to help everybody.